Well, hello. I'm going to be taking a look at this here knife that you've definitely seen in the thumbnail and the title of the video. The reason I have this JRE Industries strap band on my table here was the glue that actually adheres the different leather panels onto these guys. Really don't play nice with virtually any kind of humidity. I live in Denver, so it's super dry. But two of these, the blue and the green side, already delaminated, and I was gluing them on up here before I decided to do this. So that's what that was there for. All right, so this is a Petrified Fish. I've taken a look at another one in the past. Hell, if I can actually remember the model name of it now, the 818 or something like that. I don't know. This is the Beluga, so it actually has a standard name. And this comes in quite a few different variations. And it also comes in a mini version, which interestingly uses a different steel. I don't know why, but it does. This is basically a front flipper, but you also have a fuller that you can easily access here. Now this is the original version, which I guess essentially has a little bit of a clip / drop going on here for it. But this is all sorts of belly. They did just recently release a tanto variant of this. But tantos usually don't do it for me all that much. This one here, because it's the larger one, is in K110 Steel. I suppose I'll say it as I will pretty much all the other times. K110 is D2, but it's made from Bowler, the same people who do M390, N690, all that stuff. So it's kind of like a name brand version of D2 or something like that. And it seems like a little bit more companies have been purchasing it, probably because, well, it's kind of nice to have a knife, especially a budget one that doesn't say D2 on it, even though it basically is. And they might be getting them for a decent price when they're purchasing a little bit more expensive steels like M390, like basically everyone on their and their extended family seems to be doing in the knife industry. So yeah, that's kind of neat. This one is in blue micarta. It's not denim micarta, which is kind of one of my favorites, but still pretty nicely done micarta here. I don't really have any complaints with it. It has a really, really nice texture. It seems to have a decent thread count and all that sort of stuff. And the front flipper works out pretty well as well. The action on it's not too bad. It is definitely not a drop shot. Well, there's the detent for it. So not the earliest in the world, but it works out with where that is. The little backside of the blade, the ricasso or whatever. And it also does match up nicely there, so you don't really get any edges. Hey, some jimping on the back here too. So that's all sorts of nice. But yeah, this is a little bit more of a wiggle shot, and I think probably part of that is also the coating on the blade here. They don't state at all what it is. But yeah, it's fairly smooth. I don't really feel like a whole lot of crazy roughness. They also call it kind of a stone wash, but I guess unless you are looking super close in the right light, it's just a black blade. My best guess is it's a PVD. It's certainly not DLC or diamond like carbon. Nowhere near looking quite like that. And Cerakote to me usually feels a little weird and chalky. So I'm assuming this is PVD coated. Yeah, this thing is it's a big chungus. And it does in some ways, now that I think about it. Let's see if I can't locate the little sumbitch here. Move things around on my desk a little bit. here we are. It does kind of in quite a few ways remind me of this guy. This is the TS243 Humpback from Mazwan Mokhtar here. Similar vibes to it. We got a little bit larger handle, so this one does do a better job overall, I suppose, of blade length to handle ratio. But still similar blade shapes and the amount of belly and stuff like that. This, of course, is a little bit more of a side grade, I suppose. Pretty sure this is in 14C28N. It might be D2. I don't know. I would have to take a look on the inside. I'm pretty sure it's 14C. But this also is carbon fiber with titanium liners on here. I forgot that when I was mentioning another knife that had that recently. But yeah, they both have that front flipper sort of thing. Just that large, chunky handle. So, yeah, if you're looking for something kind of like that, you got it here. Let's see, I don't have measurements done ahead of time for this guy here. But we have basically just 3.5-inch blades. So, big old chungus. And it's ground really, really nice and thin. So that's pretty great. I mean, it's quite easy to do that when you have a nice tall blade. But with this thing being, as near as makes no difference, a full flat grind there. Obviously, it's a little flat up top here. Then that works out pretty well. This thing, in the box for it, ended up coming with a couple of washer kind of things. And a set of screws for it. Well, this is kind of interesting. Something that I can say I'm not exactly the biggest fan of here. The pocket clip, I do like. It's set up quite a bit like the QSP Penguin, where the pocket clip goes inside there, and you can screw that in, and you can swap it from side to side here. But the clip, it has a decent amount of downward force on it, and a nice roundy spoon sort of thing here. But it's got that Civivi problem of it'll move side to side and creak quite a bit. And that's how it was out of the box. Those screws are still nice and tight in there, so it moves. So it has that same kind of Civivi problem. Not exactly my favorite thing. And it'll creak if you end up squeezing it a little bit, and that moves the pocket clip a little bit. Yeah, not exactly the biggest fan of that sort of thing. But I guess it's, if the pocket clip ends up working out, hey, I guess that ends up working out for a lot of people, because people still buy Civivis by the by the thousands, and they've never really felt like trying to improve on their pocket clip. The plunge grind is pretty close to the edge here, but at least the edge is out in front of it, so you can avoid a smile if you're careful way back here, but yeah, it'll probably end up happening to you. And something else that's a little interesting, at least to me, is both sides of the pivot, a little bit more on the front side, are proud of the scales rather than flush in them. Not necessarily sure if that was intentional on their part or what. We also have this like rhino looking logo up here. I don't honestly know if that's a particular designer or something behind that. I'll have to look into that, because obviously a rhino is not a beluga. A beluga is a whale. So was that humpback, by the way. So, there you go. It's also where you get beluga caviar if you actually enjoy some seafood fish eggs. I don't know, I haven't really had much but trout roe on some sushi, because it's been a long time since I've been by the ocean. But I grew up on the Northern California coast, so I'm super familiar with a lot of that stuff. Dungeness crab and abalone and a whole bunch of good stuff. But oh well. You do have some nice lock bar access here. So you're not completely blocked with that, and it's scalloped as well, so real easy to access that. So this thing is actually quite new. I haven't had it for very long. And I haven't sharpened it either. It felt / feels really sharp to me out of the box, so I kind of wanted to see if that's just me assuming, or if it is actually a decent edge. So let's break out that bus tester. Oops. I want you taut. There we are. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Might as well turn the light on. Yeah, 150. This thing is pretty impressive as far as the edge goes on it. Out of the factory. Yeah, that's rather impressive, especially for a knife that's just around that 40 or so dollar mark. I think a lot of places it's listed as 45 to 48 or something like that. But well, I picked this up from White Mountain Knives, so depending on if you use a coupon code or not, you can get 10% off. So yeah, this was right around $40, which hey, that's a lot of knife for that price. And also interesting on this guy in particular is the back spacer is Micarta rather than G10. I really like when companies do that, and most of them don't, because G10 is just a lot easier to end up dealing with, especially when you're milling out these kind of things here. No problems at all with the blade being anywhere near close to the top of that. Let's see if I can't grab me some measuring tools. Here we are. I'll start out with blade stack. We got basically 3.85, 3.9. Okay, yeah. So, like I said, yeah, it's fairly thick blade stock thickness. But then again, it also gets down really nice and thin, so that works out pretty well. How about the thickness of the handle here? We got 15.4 millimeters, or 0.6, almost 1. So yeah, a little bit thick, but of course that's also contoured. So that's only the thickest portion there. That works out all right. And I checked out that blade length earlier. And sure, let's go ahead and pull out some weights along with them measures. Ounces, we got just over 5, maybe 5.1, close to. So that's, I guess, a little less heavy than I was assuming there. 143 grams. It's still heavy, of course. I mean, what are you going to do? It's got a giant and thick blade on it. But yeah, lots of good things to say about it. What I did notice before on the previous Petrified Fish model that I had was the hardware was kind of funky and weak. It was really easy to end up messing up the threads on the screws or something like that, which I ended up doing. So hopefully this one isn't like that. I'm also going to end up taking them apart, because I haven't even quite looked on the inside of this thing yet. Yep, as I thought, we got T6 for the pocket clip, which I probably... No, I guess I did probably need to pull that in, or pull that out. Yeah, that's a strange phrase for that. Not exactly the easiest to get that pocket screw out of there. Obviously, this isn't something that you will be doing often. Hopefully, you get it set up once. Oh, well, we'll see how that works out when I pull out the rest of it here. So, there's another pocket screw there that's also T6. I'm always in favor of using T8 for all the hardware of a knife, but that's still not industry standard yet, so oh well. Alright. Well, there. Yeah, we can have or we do have a little bit of a marking from the pocket clip here. That's mostly the blacking on the blade that's rubbing off on the micarta. Yeah, it happens. Let's see, that pivot doesn't really feel like it wants to move so much, so let's pull it off from the back here and wiggle. There we are. Okay, so we see on the inside here, we don't really have any inset into the blade at all. It's basically all on the liners here. We do have brass. Mine just went blank. I hate when that happens. Yeah, we do have brass bearing cages with ceramic bearings in there, so that's nice. So yeah, as I had mentioned earlier with that blade coating, you're probably going to get a little bit better action out of the non-coated versions. Which, honestly, the blue one without the coating on it was the one that I wanted, but when I was looking around for these, they were basically sold out everywhere, and White Mountain Eyes had this one. I'm like, well, screw it, let's do it. So, alright, I am assuming there is a little bit of a wedge or something like that. Nope, we have a D-shaped pivot on there, so that's perfectly fine. Some other companies like Civivi will end up putting a little divot in there that fits into the micarta or other handle scale material to make sure that that logo is faced the right way. Mostly because they end up screwing on from both sides, whereas this one seems like it's a single piece for the most part. So, yeah, it's just difference in how it's actually manufactured. Both ways work fine. I mean, I'm always for having a D-shaped pivot. Just makes things a lot easier for taking them apart and putting them back together. I should probably also, while I'm in here, go ahead and clean up and reapply some things and stuff. Lubrication and whatnot to this, but I will do that basically after the video because well, it doesn't really need to be shown all the time, and it's definitely something I've covered once or twice in the past already. Always a little fun trying to play around with these guys and get everything in there. A lot of times what I've found helps, and something that I've kind of picked up, especially when dealing with access locks here, is it does help to disengage a lock to kind of have things mate back up. And basically that was the stop pen there that was giving me a little bit of trouble. Yeah, let's go ahead and at least pop the pivot screw back into place. You know what? I will actually leave the rest of that open. I'll put these screws in here so I don't lose anything too bad. But yes, so I suppose here at the end I should do some blade size comparisons. Actually, I do have an idea here. Hold on one moment. And I'm back. Did y'all miss me? Alright, cool. So I grabbed out the box here, just because I kind of wanted to take a look at things that ended up coming with it. I ended up throwing the stuff in the bag that the original knife came in there. But yeah, we got basically a full set of screws going on here. There is one or two that are a little shorter than the rest, and those were for the pocket clip there. But these are what's actually interesting to me. And these are phosphor bronze washers. So it's not a tri-way pivot like Hinderers are, but it's a dual-way pivot. So you can have the those ceramic bearings in there. But if you would much rather have bearings, then hey, you got some phosphor bronze bearings in there, or washers / bushings in there. And yeah, they're nice and thick. So kind of interesting to see a company end up doing that. That's kind of nice. It's a nice touch overall for it. Obviously, you're not going to get quite the same action out of it, but if you're going to be using this thing for harder tasks and or being in a dirtier environment, especially like construction and stuff like that, where you have different powders that might get around some in there, that kind of makes it trouble for ceramic bearings to end up doing their job. You know, stuff like concrete or gypsum or any of that kind of crap. Yeah, that'll really gum them up, whereas washers will help to defeat that. So yeah, super cool to see that in there. And we also have just a standard microfiber cloth there. Doesn't look to be super huge. It's probably 4x6 because that seems to be a very, very standard size for microfiber cloths in general. But yeah, I really enjoyed taking a look at this guy here. I will probably enjoy cutting a lot with him too. I've done a little bit. Well, as in cut testing and things like that so far. But okay, so I did want to do some blade size comparisons and stuff like that. Well, just knife comparisons in general. So yes, there is the rat number 1, and well, here's the Kalashnikov 74. Yeah, definitely smaller, of course, because this is quite the large knife. We're gonna go with some larger knives. Here is the Spyderco Shaman. Why? Because I have it now. And yeah, the Maddox 2XL, which is it's a bit bigger, but a little bit less cutting, or yeah, actual blade length going on in there. Let's see. We also got the Spyderco Pm2 and a big old Endura. And I suppose neither one of the Benchmays that I have are super enormous, but the 940 certainly helps in that particular regard for comparisons here. The bug out, a little bit less, and it's quite a bit smaller. All right. Well, I can't really think of anything else at the moment that I really want to talk about with this thing, other than as I'd mentioned earlier, this thing has about 1 million different variants of it. Blue micarta, tan micarta, green micarta, and then several different G10 versions. It is interesting. I did kind of mention that earlier. They do have a mini version of this, which is a 3-inch blade. And of course, the handle's not quite as tall because of that. But for whatever reason, they made that one in 14C28N. I don't honestly know why they decided to change that. But hey. And that one also comes in a lot of other weird different colors, like yellow, G10, and things like that. But okay, yep, this was fun knife. This one's not too bad, and the hardware, at least from what I've felt. Let me try and put some of these other guys back in now that I think about it, just so I can feel what that's like. Hopefully they're doing a little bit better with their hardware than they were in the past. It seems to feel good on this one here. I don't really have any concerns, at least from that preliminary removal and reinsertion, if you will. So yeah, this is a pretty neat knife. I do actually prefer to use my index finger on the fuller to flip this guy out. The front flipper works super fine on it. This is a really, really thick knife, so unless you got some large hands doing that whole index finger thing, it's going to be really, really difficult, so you might as well just leave that alone. But you can also reverse flick it with your middle finger there. And I suppose you can slow roll it open because it's got enough bite in that fuller. But hey, whatever. All right, I'll stop rambling on. This is a neat knife, fairly affordable at about, like I said, 40 to 42 bucks or so. Not too bad for a company that they've been around for a little while, but seem to be picking up a little bit of steam and having their knives available in more and more locations here stateside. So, alrighty, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.